Sanmonani, Kamalam Supposition, and I'm back with another video. So today I'll be commenting on my first commentary video, and the first one is gonna be interesting, by a woman called Minister Simelane, our South African minister, totally roasting everybody with the facts. And let's just encrypt the facts and care less about the motion and the people's reaction, and how she delivers. Let's unpack the facts.
Following a historic and a groundbreaking State of the Nation address. Honourable President, today's debate coincides with the 35 years release of Madiba from prison. President, you provided, like a statesman, a true statesman, a formalistic, succinct speech befitting of who you are. It's a pity that some had very little of it. We accept even that the ANC gains of governance are now personalized today. In some of the years, they belong to one person alone. Honorable Boshoff, transformation cannot only be determined by you. We will determine it jointly, and the transformation fund will go on. If there's nothing that you hate and hate more, is transformation, and you don't want to see it. Honorable Trump, wherever he sits, has invited you to come and be with him. Go, that's the country that does not need transformation. We need transformation. Honorable Trolley, delusional is you. The president is not delusional. You remain out of the XNSA, out of the GNU, because your friends put you into a minshot, bakushiyulele upemile. Honorable Groenewald, I was born in Petal, the only farming town. The only thing we do in Petal until today is farming. It went to an extent of killing people and putting them underground. The reason why farmers survived before CASP and are still surviving today, it is because of the funds that they were getting annual. Black people and black farmers are successful. Maybe what you should be suggesting is we need to give them more money annually for all those institutional programs to succeed. They are not failures. Honorable Malema, you read part of what President Cyril Ramaphosa said. Let me remind you one thing he said, for example, in the 2024 SONA. He said he will introduce the finance-linked individual subsidy program, which was knownly FLIPS at the time. Today we call it First Home Finances. And as we speak, families between 3,500 and 22,000, 5,082 of them are first-time home owners, assisted by the government of Cyril Ramaphosa, after they've been neglected by commercial banks. In the year 2024-25, Honorable President, we are intending to upgrade that program and touch the lives of black people to 140,000. We are partnering with all the Phison Connects Corporation. We are now taking this area to rural areas, this program rather. And we would like to thank the National House of Traditional Leaders, eThekwini eNanda, and the local municipalities, Umlamuli, are already giving us traditional land where we'll finance our black people in rural areas to be first-time home owners. You spoke about a distribution of land here. We are participating in student accommodation here in the city of Cape Town. Our kids were toy-toying yesterday. But we have already approved 2 settlements of ensuring that student accommodation happens, one in Pela and one in Palo. about 927. Now let me remind you, Democratic Alliance, you only build when there's a constitutional court outcome. I will give you the statistics of how correctly and goodly are you failing to provide human
Order
safety.
from the orders.
Bendilindele.
Honourable member at the podium, please take your seat.
Deputy
Honourable
Speaker,
member.
this person is speaking like she's in a coffee shop. We're not in a coffee shop here. Please.
Honourable
Whatever
member.
she drank, she can't bring it here.
Honourable
I can
member.
smell it from here. Please.
Honourable member.
We're not in a
Please
shopping
withdraw
here.
that.
Please, man.
Honourable member at the podium, please proceed.
Honorable Pambo, try better. Usemfana omncane kakhulu. Practice politics uzawuza next year. They will give you the stage. Next year. Not now. Awuna podium, uyingane encane. So listen to me as I deal with how the Democratic Alliance is failing to demarcate land. The Bronwell Court outcome at the Constitutional Court just 2 weeks ago show who you are. Forced evictions, taking people out of the community settlements in town, throwing them to 30 kilometers away. Is that the first court outcome? No. The commando outcome, housing, also Constitutional Court. Hambani nise a transformation fund to the Constitutional Court, nizawustall, because constitution can only be determined by you. As I'm about to conclude, I would like to ground off how you do not spend. In 2023 and 2024, Western Cape is Nambamsila. We took back 250 million, which you couldn't spend, and you should have built houses at Danone ukuthi kungathi imikuku every December. In our housing development grant, as we speak, you are at 41%, you are likely to lose over 300 million. Go and house people correctly. In the informal settlement grant, you are at 20%. Again, you are going to send money back. Where are the provinces? Limpopo, 64%, KZN, 86%. A national refund where you took back 222 million still screams at you. There's no time to waste. South African wants us to fundamentally change, and we will never be dictated by those who think change can only be determined by them. Yes, I had a coffee shop because Ramaphosa had no finance scheme then. So I apply and go to depend.
I now invite the Honourable Zibi. Order members. Order members.
So guys, you have heard, she's totally roasting it, and like I said, she's speaking the facts. She's completely speaking the facts. So firstly, she celebrated the 35 years of Mandela, of democracy, and the release of Mandela. And she said Mr. President is a statesman, meaning he loves his country. He will die for this country, like in the past. We have some narratives that he's a sellout, but they tend not to be. From my belief, from what I see, I don't see it as truth. If he is the one getting the bash from Donald Trump, how is that a sellout? So I think that notion has been strapped. We need to cut that off. So one thing for sure is about the country. So she stated another fact, a second fact, that's why if ANC have some win, they make it personal, like this president or this, they don't make it a ANC But when it's lost, they say ANC. But when it wins, they say this president or this person, forgetting that's the product of ANC, the good and the bad. Meaning the corrupt and the good, all the success, they are taking everything. Why should we separate their wins from their losses? Their losses are collective, but their wins are separate, are personal. Which is the fact? Isn't that the fact? Isn't that the fact? Guys, let's be honest. We need to stop this thing. Let's get to the facts. Isn't that the fact that most people don't remember? There was the TRT, which is Amapered. They tried to put law and order and morality in the society. You wouldn't peace off in the street, just peace in the street, because Amapered does avail. You wouldn't have alcohol as a kid. You wouldn't be at parties after a certain time. There was, that order, but, people, they had their flaws. The TRT put the decency in people. We know that. Then people complained. Instead of fixing the flaws, it was shut down. It was shut down. Instead of innovating and in this time to have the body cameras to make sure that they do law and order, but make sure that these crimes are prevented. And let's move to other things she said. And she said she spoke to Boshov on Transformation Fund. The Transformation Fund is the 100 billion rands that is allocated to the BEE, to the black businesses, to make sure that the black people get the government funding to move forward. They realize that so people, instead of finding the ways to make DA, if that person is DA, or I didn't even follow through on who's Boshov, but it's not an African, South African black name. It gotta be a Afrikaner or a white person. How, if you are in the government, if it's DA, you are in the government, you have the chance to monitor this. You have the chance to monitor this transformation. Instead of neglecting it, now you'll have a chance to give to the people who deserve it, the black people who deserve it, to include them in the market. I think some people don't even see the bigger picture. I understand there's been some correction. I understand the ANC has its good and bad, but it has changed people's life. Many people's life. You can't count on the few ministers and their kids who have benefited from BEE. There are too many people who have benefited from BEE. They're just not out there to tell you that I'm benefiting from BEE. They're not protecting the BEE while they benefit from the BEE. That's another problem I have with other black people. They don't protect what they have benefited from. So let's move on to that. She said, if you don't want transformation, go to America. Trump has said, come to America if they doing these things, these terrible things. which is you're not prepared because you know the truth. That at this ANC is at the point where it's fighting for its survival, so it will put on the straps to win back its people. It never got this wake-up call. We shouldn't forget that they've been in power a long time, so they got the wake-up call they wanted, and they are strapped up to go. So let's move on. She moved on to Grandewaard on farming. She told that she's from Bethlehem and they only farm in that place. So we need to get the evidence. She said they only farm in that place and it's black farmers. They should stop saying black people can farm. That's what I've been saying. That they have programmed us that we can't farm. Not we are subconsciously putting that the farmers are Boers. No. I'm not taking away that Boers can farm good, but I'm taking away that black people can farm. Most of the black people are underfunded. And she said, instead of saying that, you should say black farmers should get more finance and see if they really can farm. Because of, guys, let's be honest, if you can look, they are black farmers. Our grandfathers have been farming. It's not like we don't have it in us, we don't know how to, and we are unteachable on these things. And they still relying on these theories that black people would prefer money over land. If you talking to a person who's living in a shack and who used to live emakhaya, it's to him or her, it's like sending him or her back to emakhaya. But if you can make him or her understand that, no, now you are the boss. That's the difference. You're not emakhaya. You are a boss. And you're gonna do this on a larger scale. You're gonna also work with other people and create jobs for other people, and other people, now you're expanding how the land can be used. And if you talk about the land and including the use of land, if it's not going to be used for farming, it can be used for building apartment. Apparently, you need to also find people who are investors to invest maybe in a certain project. So it's a very tricky question. If you can ask a poor white person, go to the white squatter camp and ask them, would you prefer a piece of land, or a job that's gonna give you 40,000 per month? Let's see if a poor farmer, a poor Afrikaner, what would they choose? You will understand that this is not a black and white. This is a poverty thinking, and most of black people are poor. So they trying to use these so-called what do they call this? Findings, because I can't find the right way to say it, but these so-called findings that they research that most black people would prefer a 30,000 paying job per month more than a piece of land. Yeah, And most white poor people would do the same. Stop the hypocrisy. So let's move on. She also reminded Malema something. Reminded Malema on the transformation they said they would bring to the black people. Let's remember, the white, let me just quote her first before I say what I think. She said, there are 358,000 people who have succeeded in flips having their first homes, which is now first loan home, something like that. But it used to be called flips, and it has helped many black people, which I know. I personally know many black people who are having first loan were helped by flips, giving you, if the value of the house is there, it's like 450,000 or 500,000, maybe they would help you with that 100,000 to pay the lawyers to do all the. While the banks rejected the people, they were the one who helped the people to get these houses. But we don't talk about that. No, we're not ready to talk about that, because of, we want to do what? We want to exclude ANC's success. But if it's the failure, we put them in the same box. So let's move on. He reminded Malema that, and maybe he can remember. Then he said on the Land Expropriation Act, they've already took 2 apartments for the kids who were protesting in Cape Town because they don't have apartment. What do you have to say about that, DA? Isn't that good land expropriation? Should the kids don't have a apartment just because of you want money, you want to take their money, you want them on loans, you want to be making sure that your banks are booming at the expense of the black child? You want these kids to be on student loan like in America, to live on loan after, even if they've done with their certificate or their degree, they would be stuck on loan for the rest of their life, and see them crying on TikTok like American kids. Why are we adopting things we know they are? Capitalism has its capitalism in America has its downfall, has its mistakes. We shouldn't be doing the same thing. We have to learn from their mistakes instead of doing the same mistake they are doing everywhere. So it's time to think out of the box. We are not capitalist or communist, because people call people ANC communist. We are not communist. I'm not an ANC member, but this country is ruled by ANC, and I'm seeing opportunities. I'm seeing people have chances to do better for themselves in South Africa. And ANC is continuing to open more doors for black people who have been shut in the economy. But they call that racism. Then they would go around and asking people if they would choose a job, 30,000 job over a land. An uneducated person who's from Emakaya and came to eGoli to ukuzosebenza. Vele uzele ukuzosebenza. So if umtshela nge-30,000 per month, what are you expecting? We need to teach people these things instead of misdirecting the people about these things. If people knew, if people are thinking this as okay, if they say mafam, ngikhulele mafam, kusho bathi bangibuyisele ekhaya. Uyangithola ukuthi what's the perspective, but if they think of it as a business that you'll have a market in the United States, you will be having, to sell meat. Maybe where we're in Nigeria, you will sell meat. If it's understood that way, you will be able to sell milk or cheese in these countries. They have ShopRite. They will sell these things in every country. Don't you understand that? Don't you understand that we need to open our own markets? 2, we're not shutting the white markets if we are opening our. We're not shutting ShopRite if we open our own things. We're just competing. That's what capitalism promotes. This capitalism has favors, has color favors. So if you start making people think in that way, then it's a lie. Then it's a lie theory. We need to talk about that. So let's move on to other point. Let's go on. And the EFF member, do you know what the EFF member did? He tried to make this whole point about her delivery. You talk like you're in a coffee shop, and so now we have to forget about the whole points that she talks about just to focus on that little joke. And this is what they are doing. Most of the time, this is what they are doing. They are distracting us from the main. That's what politics rivals do. They will pull a stunt to distract us from the real point that has been said. Did you listen to the point that I've mentioned that the minister said? Now we're talking about the facts. We're talking about the facts. We're not talking about the fictions. We're not talking about politics. We're talking about the facts. And this is the thing that we are facing in this country. We need to get educated and start sticking to the facts. And the only way to get educated is to educate people. Educate people. Because it's easy for people to forget. Because they think they will find something better. DA hasn't addressed. Cape Town is beautiful, has been beautiful. The Western Cape, how about the millions of black people? DA, they didn't spend 250 M. They took it back. How many people lack houses there? They couldn't even build people houses because it's not business for them. If it's not making money, it doesn't make sense. It's not about the people. It's not about addressing the inequality. So you can see the difference in South Africa and say, the black people are living in poor places, no morals, no this. Yeah, there's no decency because of it's been the legacy. You can't just forget about the legacy and say it's business as usual. It can't be business as usual. ANC is angry, and you can't see it. And ANC, if they die, they know they will take everybody with them. They will make sure that the truth prevails, because a dying person most of the time speak the truth, and this is what we're seeing. If maybe when personally you don't feel like that, it's okay. I'm not forcing people to believe in what I believe in, but in my reality, I think these are the signs of a person who got nothing to lose because they have lost so much. They have lost so much. They just want to fix the things they should have fixed a long time ago, which other parties wouldn't understand because of they are disconnected to these problems. I don't think DA would understand. I don't think MK would understand. I don't think anybody would understand these problems like ANC. That's why we need to transform the ANC as people, or even open another things like a non-governmental organization that will push this thing to practice. Watch this thing to practice so we can speak on facts. If the government doesn't do the right things, we take them to court, because people these days are donating. If people can fund a person in Dubai who needs the money to come back, meaning people want to fund things, they can fund things like an organization who make sure that the government works, so that if we take them to court, we have money for lawyers, that we take them to court to fix their wrongdoings, to be held accountable. We fix the in our own country. We don't run to America. So I'm done with this with today's video. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do for your land, what you have chose. I think ANC will win its people, and if it goes down, it will go down with the lot of things being revealed, with a lot of things being shown to the public of how much they've tried. Because let me remind you of some things before this is my last point before I sign out. In Johannesburg, they say black people deteriorated the Johannesburg CBD. In fact, I'll make a whole video about that. Let me sign off. Let's go.